Okay, friends, we'll go ahead and jump into today's session. So thanks for joining. Today is why high achievers can't mindset their way out of burnout. And one of the strangest experiences for high achievers is realizing that you know exactly what you should be doing to recover from burnout, yet you still can't seem to do it. You understand productivity. You understand mindset. You've probably read the books or even tried the optimization hacks, and yet the exhaustion still remains. That moment confuses a lot of intelligent, capable leaders because it makes them feel like they're failing at something that they should be able to solve. But burnout often isn't a mindset failure. It's a nervous system pattern. And so when I say nervous system pattern, I'm talking about the way the body becomes conditioned over time, years, decades. High achievers, they often spend years operating under pressure, deadlines, responsibility, and constant decision making. And with all of that, over time, the body learns something very specific. Stay alert, stay productive, stay ready. And that constant readiness is what we call vigilance. And I can give you a few examples of that. It might show up as feeling guilty when you try to rest, or your mind jumping immediately to your next task, or difficulty fully shutting down at night, even when you're exhausted. A couple others might be checking email or messages constantly because something might need your attention. Or even feeling uneasy or guilty when your schedule suddenly has some open space. Most high achievers, they assume burnout means that they just need better discipline. What we rarely consider is that the body may have been trained into a state where rest actually feels unsafe. So, high achievers are incredibly good at solving things through effort and mindset. And we've been taught that if you just try harder or you think the right way, you'll succeed. But burnout often persists even when you know exactly what to do. And that might be you know you should take breaks, but you keep pushing. Or you know you're exhausted, but you override it. Or you know the right boundaries, but you don't hold them. That moment is usually the moment people assume they need better discipline or a better mindset. And that assumption is where this loop continues. Most high achievers actually unknowingly enter a burnout loop, and it looks something like this. Pressure, it increases, so you push harder. And then because you push harder, your system stays activated. When your system stays activated long enough, then recovery actually starts to feel uncomfortable. Even things with like rest or sleep. So instead of restoring the energy, what happens is you keep overriding the signals your body is giving you. And that cycle repeats. So it's pressure, pushing, exhaustion, override, more pressure, repeat the cycle. And this is the nervous system pattern I mentioned earlier. At that point, mindset tools alone, they can't interrupt that loop because the body's already been trained. It's been trained to stay in survival mode. And you'll find oftentimes burnout shows up in sleep first for that very reason. People feel exhausted, but their nervous system won't allow them to fully power down. So I want us to take about 20 to 30 seconds here, and this is just a quick reflection. You don't have to answer it out loud. I want you to think about the last time you told yourself you should rest, but you didn't. Consider if the barrier was actually time, or was it that your body felt strangely uncomfortable slowing down? What many people notice in that moment is that the barrier usually isn't knowledge, it's how the nervous system is responding. And that moment right there is usually your nervous system speaking to you. So, when someone has been performing under pressure for years, maybe decades, their nervous system becomes conditioned for constant output and vigilance. And at that point, productivity habits stop working, mindset tools stop sticking, and rest feels uncomfortable rather than restorative. And it's because the system has learned that safety and value come from staying activated. So the issue again, it's not intelligence, it's not motivation. It's that your body has been trained over many years to stay in performance mode. That's why people can understand burnout intellectually or cognitively, but they still feel unable to change their behavior. So at this point, people usually ask an important question. How do you actually regulate your nervous system? And the answer is it can look different for different people. But the goal is always the same. What we're attempting to do is help the body learn that it's safe to shift out of constant performance mode. And that can involve things like breathing patterns that slow your stress response, or body awareness practices, or pacing your workload differently, or even moments of connection in your life that signal safety to your system. It can come in various forms, different for everybody, but with that same goal. So once the nervous system begins to settle in this way, something really interesting happens. The mindset tools you've already been trying, they start working again. And so what it boils down to, friends, is that the one skill high achievers have not been taught is internal regulation. And that's not just managing time, not just managing thoughts, but it's actually learning how to shift the state of the nervous system itself. And so regulation, it's not about becoming calm all the time. We're going to be activated. It's about developing the ability to shift states on demand from activation to recovery. Because again, leadership capacity, it's not about strategy. It's not about intelligence. It's about how much pressure your system can process without collapsing into exhaustion. So, if the burnout loop looks like pressure, pushing, exhaustion, and then override, that means a regulation loop actually looks very different. It's activation, awareness, recovery, and then return to your day, return to performance. So instead of constantly overriding the system, you're learning how to cycle between effort and recovery. And when leaders learn this very important skill, decision making improves, energy becomes sustainable, and then performance stops feeling like you're in survival mode. And ironically, like I mentioned, those mindset tools start working again. Starts with regulation first. So, if you're a high achieving leader who feels exhausted despite doing everything right, it might not be discipline that's the problem. It may be a regulation skill that was never taught. And for many high achievers, burnout, again, it's not a failure of mindset. It's just developing that internal regulation skill. So it's, again, not a failure of mindset, but it's a nervous system that was trained to perform without recovery. So, this subject matter, I'm going to keep building on this in future sessions. And next Wednesday's session at 12 p.m. Eastern is going to be why so many high performers don't feel burned out, but they are. Okay, friends, well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll be posting the replay later. Thanks again.